My bank is charging me to make cash deposits. Can you believe it? It's right here. Cash deposits are going away. We're entering a time of a cashless society. I mean, you've seen it. How many businesses have you been to where they don't accept cash anymore? I mean, right here, as of June 14th, my bank is charging me 18 cents per $100 in cash deposits above and beyond $25,000. Come on. And they send me this giant booklet explaining it? That's so stupid. But what does all this cashless society mean for society? I mean, literally, what's in store for the future for our children? I remember growing up in a time when parents would give you cash when your teeth fell out. Remember the tooth fairy would come down and leave you a buck? I don't know if that happened to you, but what about when you had a lemonade stand or you'd go out and mow a lawn and someone would hand you cash? What about when someone did a good job for you and they would literally slip you the curled up bills? That felt good, didn't it? It made you know you did a good job. But in today's world of Zells and PayPals and FedNow and all the other ones, that doesn't exist. How does that make you feel? Well, that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the impacts of a cashless society in today's video. My name's Chris Naugle. This is What Now? What's next for cash? So if my bank is charging me to make cash deposits, you got to ask yourself why. I mean, don't banks make money on the deposits we leave there? The bank takes our deposits and then lends that money out and makes a spread. I say this all the time. But now banks are charging us a percentage or a certain specified dollar amount for making deposits over a certain amount. I did the math on this, and the amount the bank was charging was more than what I'm making in interest on the account. Where does that make any sense? But before we get into that, and with things making sense, how about we do something that just makes sense? Like click the subscribe button right there. And then there's a little bell up top. Just smash that. Oh, you know, every time I do that, I smash that bell, the punching bag, it breaks something. Like I had a glass of water, it's gone. Thank God that didn't hit the cars. But let's get into it. I mean, when we think about a cashless society, I mean, where did all this come from? Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about how we, and we alone, have driven this cashless society. Or was it actually planted in our mind by aliens? Anyway, I mean, let's think about it. You got Zelle, you got PayPal, you got Venmo, you got FedNow. I mean, we literally have driven this whole cashless society because we want convenience. But that convenience comes at a cost. I mean, convenience for your deposits to clear faster, convenience so you don't have to go to the bank, convenience so you don't have to write a stupid check. And that all comes at a major cost to our future generation. And who's our future generation? Our kids. Let me take you back to when we were kids. When we were kids, we used to do things for cash. It was all cash. Literally, my mom taught me how to save money using a little black box. And every time I'd go out and mow a lawn, shovel a driveway, clean windows, do whatever, I'd get cash. When a tooth fell out, the tooth fairy would bring me $1. And I'd put all that money in this little box. And when that box had enough cash in it for me to go buy the mini bike, the go-kart, or even the dirt bike, that was how I did things. I mean, come on, there's other gurus out there that teach you how to budget using envelopes of money. I used to do that too. I'd have envelopes for this thing that I was saving for, envelopes for that thing I was saving for. We used to use the envelope situation, which works great when we're talking about cash. But when we stop talking about cash and we start talking about digital transactions, none of this matters. How do you budget digital transactions? If you're a parent and you're trying to teach your children how to save, how to budget, how to actually go out and do good things, this is tangible. This is very tangible. You mowed the lawn. Here you go, little Johnny, okay? Here's for the tooth that you just lost from the tooth fairy. Here's a birthday present. And my daughter just had her 4th birthday party yesterday. And one of the people that came to the birthday party gave her a card, and in the card it had $50. She took the $50 out and looked so excited. And I said, Vivi, would you like me to deposit that $50 into your banking system? And she said, yes, Daddy. So I did that today. But like what is she gonna get? A little letter saying, I owe you $50? Or can I Zelle you $50? Is that gonna have the same impact as her actually taking the cash out of the envelope? It's not. Lemonade stands. I mean, what are you gonna do? You're gonna teach your kids to set up a lemonade stand at the end of the driveway and they're gonna have like a little cell phone there that takes credit cards? Oh, just tap your credit card here and don't forget to tip me. What? I mean, that sounds so foreign, but that's what we're moving toward. But we created that because we want convenience. When's the last time you went to a restaurant and tipped in cash? You see, we still try to do that. We might pay with a credit card because that gives us a business expense and points, but we almost always tip with cash because it lets that person know how much you appreciate them other than just a number on a little paper. Like we talk about why service has gone downhill. There's many reasons, but do you ever think it's just that simple? It's just they don't feel like they're being given anything because everything has to run through the system. They have to pay taxes on it. Not saying you shouldn't pay your fair share, but all those things play into the lack of service that we see today. But let me flip over to another thing. What about control? Cash gave us some controls, right? We had the control to go out there and work, and we got paid in cash, which gave us control of what to do with this. We could budget it, we could track it. It gave us actually a tangible thing to use. All of that goes away with digital. And not only that, when we go straight digital, which is exactly what they're trying to do with FedNow, that was the first rollout, they're trying to take everything digital. They will know every dollar you make, every dollar you pay tax on, where you spend every dollar, your buying habits, your spending habits, everything, they will know it. They will know it for your children. You see, in China, they've taken it to a whole nother level. They created Skynet. Yes, I'm not talking about the Skynet and Terminator, but it's really not much different. I mean, in China, they have over 600 million cameras. 600 million cameras. That's right. So think about this. 600 million cameras can facial recognize you, can track it back to your age, your gender. They can track it back to what car you're driving, what your bank account is. Everything is all controlled. So if you're out there and they capture you on one of the 600 million cameras jaywalking, joking, but let's be real, jaywalking, or maybe you spit your gum out on the sidewalk, and then all of a sudden they freeze your bank account. I'm not saying that would happen, but they would have the ability to do that. But let's move to a different thing. Let's go back to the kids. When we teach our kids about money, how do we teach our kids about money when there is no paper equivalent to money, when all the money's gone and it's just a number on a screen? Well, if you really look at what that's done to society up to this point, one of the things I think that's really evident is the credit card debt. When you think about the credit card debt in this country, it's skyrocketing. And I think a lot of that has to do is that's just normal. When people want to buy something, they swipe it on a credit card. And in their mind, they're going to pay that credit card off, but they're always seeming to be a wee bit short of paying it off. And next month it compounds and it builds and it builds. And now what you've got is credit card debt for that matter, in this country that is way out of control. And I think a lot of that has to do with there is no checks and balances. It's difficult to know how much money you're spending when you're actually unlimited in how much you can spend based on a credit card. See, when you had cash in your wallet or cash in your pocket, you knew how much you had. You had $100. So if you went out to dinner, you had to keep the bill under $100. Now you just got a credit card or maybe multiple credit cards. You swipe one, swipe another. Oh, I'll take care of that later. Oh, it's okay because I get points and maybe we'll be able to fly for free or do this or do that with points. Folks, look in the mirror. When we are a completely digital society, you're gonna wanna blame somebody and you're gonna blame the government, you're gonna blame the Fed, but you know what? Look in the mirror, blame yourself. You're doing that. Because every time you pay with a credit card, that business needs to be charged a fee for using that merchant servant. And that fee, and there's two sides to it, you're paying a fee for the credit card, either an annual service fee or an interest rate, and the business is paying a merchant charge for the ability to take those credit cards. So who's paying for all of that at the end of the day? The consumer, you are. Because the business increases the cost of their goods, they increase the cost of their food to account for that. And if everybody's using credit cards, what do we keep doing? Increasing it. Hence why eggs and everything else have doubled in price. I'm saying, I'm not trying to make an excuse for inflation. Inflation is a whole different thing. Watch a different video on that, which I'll put up at the end. But I'm talking about money that we spend driving the cost of everything up. Because if you're using digital dollars, there's an expense. Plus it's all being tracked. Plus somebody is looking at your spending habits. And the only person not looking is us. Because we're not paying attention. We're not paying attention to budgets because we don't have budgets anymore. When I ask people if they've got a budget, I get less than 1% of the people saying they've got a formal budget that they follow every single month. But when I ask people how much debt they have, it's way up here. Do you see the correlation? We are driving ourselves off the cliff by doing this. So let's talk about some of the weaponry that's being developed across the world in different countries. I'm sure we have it as well, called EMP. So imagine a rocket that gets launched and then it detonates, but it sends an electromagnetic pulse out, which shuts down all electrical current, which basically means your electric car stops running, which basically means your cell phone stops working, anything electric stops working. In other words, all these lights you're seeing, they'd shut off. So what would that mean if you need to spend money? How long could they knock the grid out with an EMP? Well, if it's all digital, how are you gonna pay for food? How are you gonna pay for shelter? How are you gonna buy water? You're not. This is why so many people go to physical metals. They buy coins and metals because it's a bartering thing. You can exchange metals for bread and water and food, but you can't exchange a digital currency via Zelle when an electromagnetic pulse goes off. Let's go one more round. Your car you drive. So I did a video not long ago about Ford and how Ford was pioneering or going into this realm where they could just shut your car off if you decided not to pay them. So if you don't make your digital payment, they can just shut your car off. I mean, in the future, you'll probably just set it up so that every single month they just take money from your account. But if you're not paying attention to your budget, that's gonna probably revert back to a credit card or something like a credit card that then pays it for you. How long does it take of you not paying attention before you're broke and in debt? So let's talk about some of the perks of using cash. Now I had to write these down because there's a lot of them and I didn't want to forget any of them. But the perks are privacy and security. Think about privacy and security. Anonymity. Let's talk about anonymity, okay? Cash transactions, they don't really have a paper trail. I mean, there's no one knows what cash is being spread out. When that 50 bucks was given to my daughter in that card, did anyone know that $50 was given to her? No. Not only that, with cash, there's really no hackers. I mean, yes, people can steal the cash, so I guess you could argue that, but people can't hack in and steal money from your credit card or steal the credit card numbers and then go out on a spending spree. It's cash in your pocket, cash in your wallet, cash in your safe. As long as people aren't coming in robbing your safe, you should be good. Or picking your pocket, well, you can handle that. Get some zippers on your pockets. How about spending control? With cash, I mentioned the envelopes, I mentioned the budgeting techniques, I mentioned my little box that I used to use. So with cash, budgeting's a lot easier to manage transactions and things that we're saving up for or spending money on. I remember as a child, my mom had one envelope full of coupons that she would clip, and then another envelope for each week how much money she had to spend at the grocery store. That kept it really simple. She could buy more groceries if she had more coupons because the cash went further. How about acceptance and accessibility? I don't think I've ever traveled to any other country in the world, and I've been to a lot of places, where they don't accept US dollar, they don't accept cash. That's usually the case. Now you might need to transfer it to their currency, but for the most part, you can still barter with cash, can you not? So it's got a lot wider acceptance. But I know you're sitting there thinking, yeah, but you could take a credit card and go and swipe a credit card in any country. Absolutely you can, unless they don't accept credit cards. But what happens when you're traveling and there's a power outage right when you're getting ready to pay for something? How are you gonna do that with a credit card? You're not, are you? But if you had cash in your pocket, you could just take the cash out and you could pay for it. Now, none of this stuff really is a big deal when all is well. But when all is not well, you watch how important tangible methods of payment become. Bartering, metals, coins, all those things. I remember them because that was all we had back in the day. But now, gosh, the other day I'm at a farm and we're buying some apples, and she told me how much it was. I took a credit card out and she kind of had this look on her face, and I said, oh my gosh, I forgot, you guys only take cash. Think about that. A farm and a group of farmers only take cash. And there's also cultural and social benefits. Things like tipping. I mentioned this earlier, but how important is it, or how important does it make the other person feel when they do a really good job, you hand them cash? You know, that feels really good. So let me give you an example. My daughter had a pool party for her 4th birthday. The day before, I went out to check on the pool to make sure that the heater was on and it wasn't working. So I called the pool guy and he rushed over on a Sunday, very nice gesture, and he fixed the pool. And in the driveway, my wife handed him cash, rolled up, and said, get yourself some lunch. A big smile came on his face. Now, he knew he would bill for that service call, but he's not gonna get that money. But that money my wife gave him, that cash she gave him, had a tangible effect on his mood. It made him realize, I should maybe do this more. I should always be willing to go above and beyond. I mean, that's a cultural, behavioral thing. You can't do that with Zelle. What are you gonna say? Hey, thanks for coming out. Do you have a Zelle, or can I PayPal you some money? Is that gonna be good for them going out? No, he probably left our house, went right over to a coffee shop or got himself lunch and enjoyed lunch because he had cash to pay for it. These are just little things that I'm talking about that make a huge difference. But now I want to talk about what I think is the most valuable, positive aspect of cash. And let's bring it back to our kids. Teaching our kids how to take back control of their money. Teaching our kids the value of money. Teaching our kids the value of hard work. Notice all this stuff I've been saying leads up to this one conclusion. With cash, we can show the value. With cash, we can show the tangible savings. Remember the black box, the envelopes, all those things that we grew up with, that we remember how we bought things. We need to teach our kids this. And if they take the dollar away and we go completely digital, I will continue to teach my daughter this using tangible coins. I will literally use coins to show her the transaction, because money is nothing more than a means of exchange. But I don't want her to only understand the means of exchange by the push of a button or the click of a thing on a phone. It needs to be more important and more meaningful. So folks, the next time you pay for dinner using a credit card, the next time you're giving a tip using a credit card, the next time you're going out for ice cream with your kids and you're paying with a credit card, remember, you're teaching them through your own actions how to transact. You're teaching them to have no limit on spending. You're teaching them not to budget money. You're not teaching them the importance. Money to them is just numbers on a screen and they have no relevance of it. But money in their pocket, money in their piggy bank, money that they have in their own banking system has relevance. Teach your kids how to take back control of their money. Teach your kids that we are moving into a digital society, but teach them the importance of physical, tangible cash and how it interacts in society and how it can really help people feel like they did a good job. I would encourage all of you to learn how to take back control of your money. I would encourage all of you to learn how to be the bank. Because if you learn how to be the bank, you will learn how to take back the banking functions in your life. Now, I don't care if those banking functions are digital or tangible cash. When you're teaching it, it's so much easier to teach it by showing a tangible exchange of value, which requires cash. So folks, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope the next time you go out for a dinner or you go out to do something, you pay with cash. The business owner will respect you for it. The person that's helping you will respect you for the cash tip. And your children will learn important lessons, not by you telling them, but by you showing them how money really works. If you like this video, check this one out right here, 2025. I think you'll like it. My name's Chris Naugle. This has been another episode of What Now? What's Next for Cash? We'll see you next time.